This episode of Her Design, Her Story is proudly sponsored by Royal Oak Floors, the founders of engineered oak flooring in Australia. Elegant yet durable, practical yet luxurious, Royal Oak Floors have formed the foundations of inspiring Australian architecture and interior design for over 20 years, with flooring products that are uniquely tailored to Australian lifestyles. Royal Oak Floors is proud to announce the launch of 4 new colours in its renowned architect collection, the result of collaborative workshops in which design professionals shared emerging trends, unmet needs and evolving preferences in Australian interiors. We're proud to partner with a brand that values craftsmanship, sustainability and the stories behind every space. Explore the new colours at royaloakfloors.com.au. Katie Forse is an entrepreneur, creative thinker, and passionate advocate for meaningful connection through design and technology. She first made her mark as the founder of Katie Sargent Design, building a reputation for creating beautiful, functional spaces that reflected the lives and stories of the people who lived in them. More recently, Katie has turned her attention to a different kind of legacy with the startup of Tribu, an innovative online vault designed to help families securely store and organise important information. Inspired by the challenges families face during major life transitions, this is around preserving connection, reducing stress, and making sure the people we love have access to what matters most. Today we'll talk with Katie about entrepreneurship, reinvention, the inspiration behind Tribu, and why creating systems for both our homes and lives can have such a powerful impact. Katie, welcome to Her Design, Her Story. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Sarah.
I'm very excited to speak to you. Not only have you had an amazing career in interior design, but I think incredibly inspiring pivot you've taken lately in starting a completely new business, which we'll touch on shortly. But I did want to go back to the beginning of your career journey and talk a little bit around your first pathways when you left school.
Yes, so I did actually study business at uni and I majored in marketing and I really enjoyed that. I think I enjoyed the business side actually, probably more than the marketing because I found the marketing side of it to be quite fluffy at the time. And but I really enjoyed that. So in my third year I went to London to do an internship. It's like a gap year. They have sort of a gap year.
Yeah.
So I went to London to do an internship and I did a couple of internships over there in PR. And then I came back and I finished the last year of uni and I just wanted to get out. Get out there. Do you know what I mean? Because I'd been working I'd been in the workforce for a year, working in what I'd been studying, and then I had to come back to uni, and
it's a hard transition.
It's a really hard transition, especially coming back from London back to Melbourne. So I did that, and then I think I just had really itchy feet, so I moved immediately up to Sydney.
Yeah.
I just wanted to move to Sydney. I don't know why, but Sydney's a very alluring place. Yeah, it's a beautiful place. A lot harder to live than to visit. But I went to Sydney, and I actually got a job in working for a company called Orion Expedition Cruises, and they did beautiful luxury cruises.
Yes, they're still around.
Yeah. So they went to the Kimberley, they went to Fiji, and they did like Fiji doesn't sound that expeditionary, but it was all kind of like those Melanesian islands. Absolutely amazing. And so I worked there for a couple of years, and it was a really good job. And I went on the ships, and I got really immersed in it. But I just had this like gnawing feeling that I wanted to be an interior designer. And to be honest, I really don't know why. Like I can't,
amazing,
I can't pinpoint why. Yeah. And I did this course at, I was living in North Sydney at the time, and the North Sydney Community College or Community Centre did this like day course for interior design. So I did it and I really enjoyed it. And then I decided to move back to Melbourne and to study interiors, but I couldn't quite bring myself to do another 4-year
Yeah, and
I
quite an
just couldn't.
intensive study process.
Yeah, so I decided to do an advanced diploma at it was called CATC, Commercial Arts Training College, which I think is now Billy Blue.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so that was a very, very intense couple of years, but packed into 1 year, and very, very, very intense. But I absolutely loved it. But at the time, my parents, my mum and my stepdad had just moved to Greece, a little Greek island.
Oh, amazing.
Which is very random.
Living the dream.
Yeah, they were living the dream. And they were designing a villa. And they were building a villa over there, and they were getting married over there. And so I went over there for 7 weeks during my interior design break during the school holidays. And I went over there, and it was really interesting because they were just finishing the build. And so I kind of got a bit of an insight into the construction side of the build coming to life. And then when I was there, I met a local Greek guy. And we had this like well-renowned 2-week romance.
Oh, how good.
And I know, it was so random. So I am leading somewhere, I promise. Yeah. So I met him, and he said to me, he was actually studying engineering in London, and he said, come and live in London. And I said, yeah, okay, I will, but I've got to finish my interior design studies. So I went back to Melbourne and I finished the interior design studies, and then I just got on a plane and I just went straight to London.
That's amazing.
So I was like a designer with 1 year study. And so I had to go back to being an intern.
Yeah.
Which and then I was an intern with the other interns who were like 18, and I was sort of 23 at the time.
Yeah.
And I think because I was a bit older and a bit more mature, it was actually great in a way because the people in the office, I was never announced as an intern. I think people just thought I was a junior designer. And so they just I was assigned to a project, and I was just treated like a junior designer. And then I had the most amazing experience there. It was a big company called Hirsch Bedner Associates.
Yeah.
And they do hotels and bars all around the world.
Yeah, amazing.
And so I just got access to this amazing materials library. We had all of these suppliers and brands coming to the office like every day, showing us finishes, fabrics. We would go to these amazing parties, and we'd be working on these hotels, and like I ended up in Venice working on this beautiful old hotel. So it was just an incredible experience. So that's how it kind of starting as an intern there, and then kind of working way up to be a junior designer, then a middleweight designer. I actually don't even know if we talk in that way in Australia.
I feel like there's that kind of sense of graduate.
Yep.
And then from there it can jump around depending. I mean, I started in an architecture background, which was a little bit more structured.
Yep.
I found in the bigger architecture offices. But yeah, I feel like there's still, I see jobs advertised that kind of mid.
Yeah.
5, 10 year, 15 year.
Except for me, like I went from intern to junior to mid in like 18 months.
That's amazing.
But I don't know if that's a reflection on me. I just think it was like a very fast-paced environment, and you just learn a lot really quickly.
I think it can be, and I'm just thinking about some of the wonderful opportunities I had as well in terms of, if you really want to be somewhere. I remember when I sort of shifted from an architecture to interiors office, I was so thrilled to be there.
Yeah.
And had such we had a great group of people working around me at the time, kind of pushed you to be the hardest working. And
that's true.
And really you knew you wanted to be there.
That's true. And it's also very competitive.
Yeah. So it's sort of you stepped up when you needed to. And I think with that often comes then that next opportunity and the next opportunity.
That is true. Yeah, it is true. I think
it is a reflection of work ethic and an interest in what you're doing.
Yeah. And it was absolutely amazing. Like it was, I would pinch myself. Like every Thursday we'd go to these parties, like these amazing parties. I was just this little like junior burger, and I was at these parties, and it was amazing. It was really amazing. And then I actually had some foot surgery, which I know is a very strange thing to say, but I had surgery on both my feet, and I actually had to end up resigning because I just couldn't work. Yeah. So I did. So I unfortunately I ended up resigning, and then I went to work in a completely different environment, which was a much smaller residential interior design firm, very high end, very, very high end, under one lady. who was the owner of the company, and there was a very small group of us. There was 2 senior designers, myself and another designer, and then there was a few middleweights and then a couple of interns, and we worked directly with the clients, which was very different to working in the hotels.
Yeah, it would be actually.
Yeah,
and
residential, you're working directly with the clients and the builder.
Yeah, it's very hand in hand.
Very hand in hand. Whereas with the hotels and like you don't know who the client, like it's very siloed. You're given a particular task to do, and that makes up the big jigsaw puzzle of the whole project. And you, as a down the bottom of the food chain, which I had no idea who the client was. Like, was it the owner of the building?
Yeah.
Was it the brand, like the Ritz-Carlton or Starwood, or like it was
different representatives?
Yeah, it's quite different. And that was an incredible experience. Lots of travel. I ended up in Kazakhstan.
Oh, wow.
In Astana. I didn't even know where Kazakhstan was, but that was a very interesting experience. But my boss was like, she was like the Devil Wears Prada of the interior design world.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very formidable, very formidable person. And I'm an all-in kind of person. Like I give everything, and I was giving everything, and I was just not, it was just, yeah, it was a great experience work-wise, but like emotionally and like mental health-wise, not a great environment to be in. And then I decided I wanted to come home to Melbourne.
Yeah.
And I think because that experience was as amazing as it was, it really drained me.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking to myself, I just don't think I can work for someone else again and give everything. Like, why not do that for myself?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I came back. I was just turned 30. I came back to Melbourne. I moved in with my dad because I was like, this is going to take me a while to earn any money.
Yeah, and you would have been away.
I was away. I'd never worked in Melbourne.
Quite a few years.
Yeah, I'd gone from graduating in Melbourne to moving directly to London, and I'd never actually worked in Melbourne, so I didn't know any of the firms. You know, like sometimes a lot of people in Melbourne, they'll leave a firm and they'll have all their supplies in place. You know, they'll
just have an idea, I guess, of the lay of the land.
of the land.
Yeah.
I didn't really know anything in Melbourne. So I just had to go really back to basics and just basically prove my chops.
Yeah.
And people weren't really interested in my London experience. They wanted to know whether I'd designed something in Malvern or Glen Iris or Toorak or Brighton, and I hadn't.
Yeah.
And even getting like supplier trade accounts and things like that, that was really hard.
Yeah.
Really hard.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my first job, I was really lucky. My first job, one of my girlfriends, she and her husband were building a new house on the Gold Coast, and she asked me to design their house. And I worked with their architect, and it was a sort of a Hampton style, kind of like Palm Beachy. Hampton style, Palm Beach, different things, but like it was a bit of a mix,
coastal,
bit of a Slim Aarons kind of vibe. She's a real cool cat, and so that was amazing because it allowed me to actually talk about something that I was working on.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I think that's really important. If you're trying to get new clients, like activity breeds activity. You know?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm working on a project on the Gold Coast, like.
Sounds very exciting.
It's exciting. Yeah, it is exciting.
And also more local. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my first project, and then I managed to get House and Garden to I actually got it shot myself, but then House and Garden ran the story. And so for me that was like incredibly important for me to kind of prove to myself that I was good enough to be there.
Yeah, and I feel like there's still probably an element of that. You know, people often ask if getting published gets clients, and I find it's not so much getting the clients, it's cementing the value of the work you've been doing, whether it's to yourself or to existing clients. I think there's still that level of
I think so too, because I think we all have a level of imposter syndrome.
Yes.
And I know that we shouldn't rely on external validation to prove to ourselves that we're good enough. Yeah. But I think as, you know, a young woman, a 30-year-old young woman who's taken a massive risk to go out on her own, I think just that was a great little pump up.
Yeah, no, it's good. And also in your sort of more Australian territory.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. So was that the kind of starting point of Katie Sargent
Yes,
Design?
yes, it was.
Yes. And how long were you, before we jump ahead to your
Mm-hmm.
current business, how long were you in business for?
Around 10 years.
10 years in
Yeah,
interior
so
design.
I started. I remember I launched it at the end of 2016, and now we're in 2026. So I started that first project 2017. So yeah, around 10 years.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And you were mainly working out of Melbourne
Yes.
over that time?
I did work out of Melbourne. Another kind of really important project that I had was actually a villa that I worked on in Greece, which was
amazing.
my mum and my stepdad. They built another villa over there. And at the time I didn't have kids and I wasn't in a relationship. And so I was really able to just go over there. I was going over like 3 or 4 times a year to
how fun.
choose tiles and stone, and like it was like pinch me. And it was amazing because it was amazing what access you have to amazing materials and finishes at a much lower price point than in Australia.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and particularly stone and tiles and things like that. Even like polished plaster. Like polished plaster, that is just, they all put polished plaster in.
Yeah.
Whereas here it's like bloody expensive.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to get something like that over the line here. Whereas over there, that's just kind of part of their design DNA.
Oh, amazing.
So that was amazing. So we were able to create something. What we wanted to do was create a villa that looked like it had been part of the landscape for a very long time.
Yeah, beautiful.
So that was a really exciting experience. So that kind of allowed me to travel overseas and kind of retain that access to Europe, that then I came back and I was able to share that with clients in other projects as well.
Yeah.
So that was a really, really good one. And then I've worked regionally a few times. I did some work in Mount Buller. Not Mount Buller, Mount Hotham.
Yeah.
And also Bright. And so
gorgeous.
that's been really nice as well. But now with the kids, it's a lot harder to coordinate that kind of travel.
Yeah, no, it is, and particularly
as you would know,
longest, sadly, away from home. I did want to touch on, more recently, you have taken quite a shift in the work you're doing, which I think is very impressive, not only with 10 years of interior design experience behind you, but young children. I know it can be quite an emotional, there's a lot of things going on, but you recently started your business Tribu.
Yes.
Which is very exciting.
Yes.
I'm an over-organised person, so
Yes.
this brought me much joy.
Yes. Yes.
Could you quickly describe the essence of what this new business venture is about?
Yes. So this is an incredibly strange shift, and I think that people are quite confused, but that's fine.
It made sense. I think it sort of, to me, reflected the point in life where perhaps you're at.
Yes.
And putting together not only that design aesthetic
Yes.
quality, but also that business background.
Yes.
You have.
So I would preface it by saying that having children is, it kind of completely moves your world, as your listeners who have had children would know. And designers there's a lot of the people most of the people that you interview are women, and let's assume that a lot of them are mothers. So they would relate to this. They would relate to this, that having children really shifts things for you. And I stepped back a little bit when I had my 2 children, because I was the primary carer. We made that decision in our family that I would be the primary carer. So what I decided to do was not take on any new work, but just continue to work on my design projects that I already had. And so that was a good couple of years. And then last year, I decided that I decided that I was actually going to take an AI course for interior designers.
Yes.
So I took it. So I saw it advertised on Instagram. I took this AI course. It was like you work through it in your own time, because I knew that everyone was talking about AI, but I didn't really have a handle on what it was.
No, I'm quite scared of the whole thing.
Yeah. So there's
So
you're
very
either
brave.
you either kind of keep it at arm's length, or you go into it. And I decided I'm just gonna see how AI can help me be a better designer, help my workflow, not necessarily on the creative direction side, although you can iterate concepts and whatnot very quickly with various AI programs. But I decided all of that back-end stuff, like as you know, the back-end side of interior design, the scheduling, the documentation, the coordination, the communication, all of the logistics to bring a beautiful vision to life is very time consuming and you have to be very organized. So I was like, I'm going to try and be better at that. So I did this course and I was like, this is amazing. This is mind blowing. There's so much to learn here. And then because I'm a bit weird and I'm like an A-type personality.
Not weird, entrepreneurial.
I decided to attack our family's admin. So what I decided to do was put all of our documents and all of our information into one central place. And basically, I just did it in a Google Doc. So I had like my superannuation details, Carl's superannuation details, all the insurances, all of my ATO details, the customer reference numbers for Centrelink, like everything in one place. And then I linked all of the documentation together in one place. And then I just was like, let's have a look at our insurances. Where are we at with those? And Carl would come home every night and I'd be like, tonight we're doing life insurance. Tonight we're doing super. Tonight we're doing this. And we just went through it all and we looked at everything. And because I like control, it gave me, you're a kindred spirit. I just had this like immense sense of satisfaction that I had done all of this and I knew that as a family we were in good shape.
Yeah. It's very easy. I'm also, as I say that, I'm very good at procrastinating and when things are too hard.
You know why? Because it's very uninteresting. It's very boring. It's not something that we want to do. And because of that, we push it to the side. Even though we push it to the side. That's just natural. Most people do that. So I started talking to my friends about what I was doing, parents, and they were kind of looking at me with their eyes glazed over when I was talking about, like, have you checked your life insurance lately? And they're like, oh my God, what is she talking about? And then I'd say, do you have a will? And like half of the parents that I was talking to didn't have a will.
Oh, really? Oh, that's surprising.
Which was very surprising to me as well. Yeah. But that actually reflects statistics. Statistics say that half of families don't actually have a will. And so I was talking to Carl and I was like, I think there's something here, there's something here, there's something here. And then I decided that I was going to build something. I was going to build a product. Basically, I was going to build a centralized digital vault to keep all of that together in one place.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, make it intelligent. So it becomes really a family operating system whereby there's renewal reminders and it says it kind of identifies gaps that you might have in your family. Yeah. And because the reality is that we're not taught this stuff at school. We're not taught admin.
No, and it's often I've found things like life insurance we only really actioned because something awful happened to a friend of ours, which is tragic.
Yes.
But it was through that or, I feel like I've had a bit of loss in my life. So the minute our daughter was born, I'm like, we need a will.
Yes.
Whereas my husband was, he was completely on board with it. But I feel like it was only through experience that I'm like, these things can happen.
There are trigger events
exactly
that make those things happen. And for some people, it is an unfortunate event. For some people, it's a death, an incapacitation of someone. For some people, it's having a child. Like for us, we got a will when we had Charlie.
Yeah.
For some people, it's buying a house and taking on a mortgage. That might be the reason you get life insurance, because if something happens to one of you, how would you pay the mortgage?
Can we keep?
Can you keep the house? So things like that. So in a roundabout way, Sarah, that is what Tribu is. It's for families, and basically, my vision is for it to be a family operating system to really help parents, because we are just completely overloaded.
I think I love as I've said to you previously, I'm sort of sometimes potentially over-organised. So I was laughing when I was reading. I was very excited to sign up to your website the other day. I actually have a Word document at home that has all our passwords.
Yes.
But the joke is that my husband doesn't know my computer password. So if something happened to me, he wouldn't have the vaguest idea how to find everything. So I was thinking actually there is that thing of, even though there's probably likely one person in the relationship who would fill the information, it's of equal access to everybody. And it's often that moment of, my accountant will be like, can you send me your Medicare or your Medibank tax return? And I know I've seen it in an email and I've red flagged all these emails, but I think it's almost that habit of just save it.
Yeah.
And when you need it's often when you need the information, you can't find it.
That's it. It's like it's when you need the information. It's having that information at your fingertips. You will be able to download that from Medibank and put it directly in Tribu, or if you're sent it from Medibank, you will just forward it to your Tribu email address, and Tribu will recognize it and it will put it in your health vault. And it's as simple as that. And you go into Tribu and you say, hey, where is my Medibank tax return for 25-26? And it will bring it up for you.
Yeah.
And that's the end. Like, it's just making life easy.
Yeah, well, I think that's the thing. There's so many emails now.
Yeah.
And then, as I said, my very dated Word document.
Yes. But, you're actually a lot more organised than most people. The fact that you do have it in one spot is actually streaks ahead of most people. And I'm not making a judgment on most people when I say that. It's just that who has the time to actually do this?
I think, do you know what, it was funny? I think it was actually when I was sort of I was working for someone else when I had my first daughter. So I sort of had maternity leave, as opposed to when I started working for myself, and it was harder to
there's
walk
no maternity
away.
leave.
But I think it was that moment I was like, I actually, and you start getting all those first forms and then someone's got a childcare rebate number and I was thinking, oh my goodness, like that was probably the first time you start to take on, actually, there's a lot of admin.
But it's honestly, Sarah, it's from the second that your baby is born. Do you remember
all the forms in hospital?
Yes. Yep. You know when they you leave hospital and you're hormonal, like emotional and sleep deprived, and they give you that pink slip and they're like, don't forget to register your baby. And you're like, yeah. Don't lose this slip. This is proof that your baby was born. And you go home and you chuck it somewhere and they're like, you've got to do this within 6 weeks or whatever. And then you're like, oh, I've got to tell someone that my baby exists. And that, like, you've probably forgotten that you were even told to do that.
I know.
And I don't think it's the dads who are going to be saying, hey, have you registered the baby? It's like, I don't know.
No, and I think a lot of it's that mental load as well. Like, how much of this can I actually just remove from my day-to-day
absolutely
stress?
And also it is that mental load, but it's also sharing the map. So like you said, all of that information, you've got it in one place, but the map is in your desktop. Yeah. You have not shared the map with your husband.
Exactly. Yeah.
And if he has the map, then he has the information. So if you do ask him to do something, there's no excuses. He can do it.
Yeah, or if you do want to have that conversation, it was actually funny you say that. I was out at a dinner the other night and I can't even remember how we were talking about private health insurance after quite a few drinks, but someone was saying how expensive it was. Anyway, we were having this fairly drunken discussion about it, but it was funny because I was thinking actually that's something that is just in my head too hard basket, so it's those things where you're like, actually, if you've got all the information on hand, you might do something about it. Yes. I am interested to know, though, obviously coming from a design but also business background.
Yes.
What are your next steps with how do you get a product like this off the ground?
Yes. So this is my second business, but my first business, Katie Sargent Design, arguably is a lifestyle business. It's not a hugely scalable business with thousands of customers. So I am really learning from the ground up here, which
is amazing.
Which has actually been so exciting. Like I genuinely feel like this is my time now and I'm really excited about that. And just this making these new connections and going out and meeting people, like really smart, accomplished people, and especially a lot of women, which is really exciting. And I'm learning a lot. So what I've learned is that there are two, like the main thing that I have to do is prove that people will actually use this product, because I am very confident that we all have this problem, that our admin is scattered and it's a bit chaotic. I'm very confident that if I asked a room full of 100 parents, how do you feel about it? Most of them would put up their hand if I said, is your admin scattered? And I would think most people would say yes.
Yes.
What I need to be confident on is that they are motivated enough to get it in order. with a product like Tribu.
Yeah.
So I've been doing a huge amount of talking to parents, whether that be through surveys, I'm having one-on-one conversations with people. I've started to build a community online through my Instagram and TikTok, just like really trying to understand people's pain points and really trying to prove that there's intent there. And I've started this initiative called the Founding Families, which is before the product is built, I want to make sure that people are interested. So I'm asking people to invest $20 to secure their spot, which is what you did the other day.
I did. I'm very excited.
Yeah. So you are one of 100 founding families, which is really exciting. And so you've secured you will be the first people who get access to this, and you've locked in the lowest rate ever for life, which will save you a lot of money over time. And so what that is doing is people are paying $20 for a product that doesn't exist yet. So that's really strong signal that it's needed. So that's great. But then at the same time, what I have to do is I have to raise money to get it built because I'm asking people to store very sensitive information within this platform. I can't fudge this. This needs to be done very securely, absolutely properly, with all sorts of independent security tests and security architecture and whatnot. So that's expensive. So I'm currently speaking to my family and friends and asking them to invest in this startup, which is also scary.
Yeah, and that's I've
scary.
Complete credit to you because I've had a couple of ideas or speaking to friends and someone said, "Oh, you just speak to friends." I was like, I don't even know how I would start that.
I know it's really it's really scary. I mean, my uncle. It's funny. I mean, you have to have this like blind faith in yourself, which is probably very deluded. But like my uncle was like, because first of all, I started talking to my uncle who is connected to family offices, and I said, can you help me get in with the family offices? And he said, Katie, I can, but I think you're a bit early. I think you need to raise from family and friends first. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm special. He's like, why do you think they're going to give you money? I'm like, I'm special, Uncle Mick. I'm special. And he was probably like, yeah, you're my niece, so I will I'll humor you and tell you that you're special, but really they're not going to care about that. They're going to care about numbers on like metrics.
Yeah.
And obviously people invest in founders. So that's really important, but also I have to have the metrics to prove that there is demand here.
Yeah.
So where do I go to next? I'm really close to securing that final few $1,000s to get this built.
That's really exciting.
So I'm 2 investors away. Once I can secure that, the build starts.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really exciting for you.
It is exciting, but that's when it really gets real.
Yeah, but amazing though, and I think really interesting. You know, I feel like one of the pros and cons with Instagram, you get fed a lot of these founding stories of all sorts of businesses, and I sort of end up, I think because I often end up watching these videos about particularly women who have started these amazing businesses, I think you really have to be able to back yourself and have that faith. Otherwise, I think that's incredible. I did want to, I guess, at that point, I think it shows an incredible amount of endearing, and I think that's really exciting, particularly, it's often very easy to take that sort of safe pathway, particularly at that point in life with children and that sort of thing. And I think, I think that's really inspiring to follow a new pathway that's challenging and it's interesting. And I think I've done a couple of things like that in the last couple of years. And I think for me, making those new connections has been such a massive part of it.
I mean, look at what you've done with this podcast.
Yeah, it's really exciting, I think.
People you've spoken to. And so many different pathways that your guests have travelled to get where they are. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I think, I feel like you're a little bit younger than me, but I think at that point in life where you realise there's actually still so many opportunities to follow. I'd be interested to know, though, what do you think are a couple of key personal attributes which have really sort of enabled you to back yourself and take this shift?
Yeah, I would. One of my friends called me a shark the other day. She's my best friend. She called me a shark. And I was like, what does that mean? She said, well, apparently, I mean, I don't know if this is actually true, but she said sharks have to keep moving or they die. And that's me. I like to keep moving, and I one of my other friend calls me Miss MIA, massive and immediate action, and
Yeah.
I do tend to take massive and immediate action. Like last year I said I'm putting my interior design business on hold, which I absolutely love, to go down this very, very unknown pathway that is objectively a very risky and probably a very silly thing to do. But there's just, I think you've got to back yourself. I think curiosity and a real love of learning
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
something that has really helped me. Like I really, and also this, I think I've actually just gone on a real journey of self-discovery since my children have been born. And I know that sounds really cliche, but
No, I think it's a really positive and interesting thing to say, because you sometimes read about women who it can go quite extremely the opposite.
yes.
They feel, they might step back from work, or, even though the situation at home, like I look at the weight my husband carries at home, very
Yeah.
equal.
Yep.
And friends would laugh and say, Nick does a lot more.
Yes. You're very
in
lucky.
some ways. But there's still, I don't know whether it's having 3 girls, but I'm still the person that they, no matter how involved my husband is, they still want to sit and talk to me
Yes.
about, which is fantastic.
Yes.
But it is, I think you often, there can be quite an opposite for women, I think, or that sense of loss of identity, or what am I going to do now? Or I
completely.
feel, and I remember being really quite anxious when I first had my first daughter leaving. I was technically on maternity leave, but I was just sitting there thinking I can't see how I'm ever going to be able to offer that same amount of energy and
Yes.
time back into the job I was doing.
It's such
So
a
I think that's a
monumental
real
struggle.
positive that you've thinking, actually, this is a moment for me to go off and
Yeah. But that has come from a big journey. Like
yeah,
I would say that women have an idea of what being a mother and having children is. I think I romanticized it way too much.
yeah,
I think the reality of having children and how that affects you physically, emotionally, mentally, your relationship, your career, everything. I was not prepared for it.
I don't
at
know
all.
if anyone is. Like, I sort
absolutely
of
not prepared for it.
No, and I think, it's wonderful, but there are so many aspects to it that I just think, oh my goodness,
Oh,
it's wild.
I don't know. Honestly, I think women are. I honestly think women are super, like super women. I don't know how we do it. And I would say that there are parts of me that before I had children, I would say that I saw as superpowers, like being able to manage so much and being really organized and in control. And then having children, everything's completely out of control. And because you're with these 2 little humans who are you beat to their drum essentially. And I really did struggle with the lack of control that I had over my life.
Yeah,
And trying to really keep my business going. And like I got a huge amount of external validation from my business, which you don't really get from wiping bottoms and dealing with tantrums.
no,
and
and
you
I
don't
think
get that.
it's funny because you realize, like, everyone's situation's so different, whether it's financial or
Yep.
it's family support.
Yeah.
Like, I've got some friends who have a huge amount of family support, so
Which
they're
is
not,
amazing.
which is amazing, and
Absolutely
they're not
amazing.
paying for that care. So
Oh,
then there's
yeah.
that cost implication, and then you feel that guilt, and then I think also, particularly when you have your first child, I used to worry a lot about what people thought. I think it was just a lack
Definitely.
of confidence.
Me too.
Whereas now I'm just no time for that. But I think it's that identity. It's what are other people judging about me? Should I be going back to work? What if I don't want
Yes.
to? Yeah, there's a lot to take on.
It's so much to
Huge
take
amount.
on. And so I would say that I'm really at the start of this journey. Like I'm really, really at the start of this startup journey. And let's hope that we talk in another few years and it's going well. But there's an equal
it's
chance
amazing.
that it's not. It doesn't. But what I'm learning, I'll never be able to take that away. But that's come from like a couple of years of, really just taking care of my physical and emotional health, because two babies very close together, I got like really severe hip bursitis. And I was in a lot of pain. Like I felt like a really old lady and my hips were on fire. Like they were so inflamed. And I was like, I've got to really look after myself. I've got
Very
to try and sleep.
debilitating.
I've got to eat better. I've got to exercise. And that I think allowed that physical transformation has allowed like the mental and the emotional transformation that's also just, 4.5 years into motherhood, just settling into it a bit more.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're further along than me. And so you're dealing with, your kids are a little bit older. So you're dealing with, they say big kids, big problems, little kids, little problems.
Yeah, and it's I also find with multiple children, it's carving out that time.
Yes.
One of my oldest daughter particularly, she would only really talk to me about things.
Yeah.
Like she's got a great relationship with my husband, but I think there are things, 12-year-old girls.
Yes.
But it's often for me thinking, okay, if I'm sitting downstairs working, when's a good time for me to go up and actually have that conversation, just check in with her.
Yeah.
So it is that sort of worry, or if something's not going right, you can't keep being the person that fixes the problem. I think that's another thing for me, which has been quite challenging, is I actually have to really step back and I can advise and support, but I can't be the person in there solving the problems.
But that also,
anymore.
I wonder if, like, I'm very aware of, and that's why this is such a, there's such a responsibility raising little people because now when, my kids are 3 and 4, now is when they start learning resilience and self-confidence and to look inside themselves for their own power as opposed to, external validation. And when they go to primary school and they go to high school and they're dealing with peer pressure and socials and that stuff terrifies me.
Same.
You're on the cusp. You're on the
We're
cusp of it, and it terrifies me. But hopefully, the work you've already done, I'm sure the work you've already done from the day that they were born is setting them up.
You hope so. And I think what's exciting in here, I think listening to you also talk about the joy and that excitement in that new pathway you've taken, I think that does reflect in how you then manage your children. Am I feeling fulfilled?
Yes.
Do I have confidence? All those things you get out of taking
definitely
new steps, which I think is really important. I did want to touch on quickly, obviously you have a lot of different things going on with work and life. I think ultimately as creatives, no matter whether, if you're not necessarily practicing in design, but I think we often need that kind of sense of inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
You've spoken a lot about, further education and things like that, which I think are really interesting. And I think I'm petrified of AI. So
I'll give you
maybe that's the motivation I need.
I do like a beginner's course. It's actually quite amazing.
I always kind of sit there. I don't really know where to start. But are there any other things that you integrate into your routine which sort of help, I guess, with that source of motivation and inspiration?
Yes. So I'm really into, I don't know, maybe I'm going too far into this, but I'm about to turn 40 and I think because I've had this hip problems, I think I'm just really obsessed with like going into this has turned in from like design into like lifestyle and children raising, but like moving into like perimenopause and menopause. I don't know if I'm there yet, but I want to enter that in the strongest way possible, like physically.
Yes.
So I do a lot of weight training in the mornings. I do that in the mornings and I put my music on and I do that in the garage. It's dark outside and that allows me to just really sit with my thoughts.
Yeah.
And also, I do a lot of thinking in the car.
Yeah.
And I also go for walks. I have a bit of a problem in that I really struggle to be still and not have external stimulus.
And if I'm walking, am I like, is this a waste of my time?
Is this a waste of my time? What could I be, or what could I be learning? So I always am like trying to listen to podcasts, but then sometimes, as hard as it is, if you don't have anything in your ears, your mind just goes to really interesting places. And
I know, and it's having that space to allow yourself to think clearly.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's a product of being in this this hyper productive life that we just want to be moving forward and like optimizing and whatnot. And I can definitely be a victim of that. So I need to definitely try and take time to just be still. My husband would definitely agree with that. But yeah, in terms of inspiration, like it's mainly just, I actually get a lot of inspiration like just scrolling beautiful design work. Like I don't know about you. I mean, you can end up in a massive scroll hole, but
sometimes it's quite good though. I was looking at something, I was helping my daughter with something on Pinterest the other day, and it's one thing I do quite like you can end up in a bit of a journey, but it was just beautiful image.
Yeah.
And the more you clicked on, the more it kind of fed. And I thought, actually, this has been quite interesting.
Yes. And that algorithm just keeps feeding you what you're clicking, and then you kind of immerse yourself in this beautiful world.
Yeah, I'm quite careful with my work Instagram account that I just stick to looking at that, because you know how quickly it can kind of change and
yes, can morph. I get some really weird stuff on my Instagram. Very weird.
No. Oh, that's good. Oh, well, I'm really excited for your new pathway.
Thank you.
And I feel very hopeful.
Thank you.
That this will all come
Well,
to
you're on the
fruition.
journey with me.
I
You're a
am.
founding
I'm
family
very
member.
excited. This is like my dream app. So. But before we wrap, I just wanted to jump into her edit with some quick questions. Can you remember the first design-related purchase you ever made, like an artwork or a piece of furniture?
Yes. My 21st birthday, my dad, for my 21st birthday, I said that I would like a piece of artwork. And this was actually even before.
Mature 21st
present.
Yeah,
that is a very mature thing,
Yeah.
isn't it? Like, very strange. Yeah, that's quite a strange thing to ask for. And it actually hadn't popped into my mind that I wanted to be an interior designer at that point. I was studying business.
Yeah.
So that I don't know, maybe I should read into that a bit more. But there's a beautiful gallery down in Flinders. His name is Hugh. I can't remember his last name, but he's this lovely old guy. He has an amazing art gallery in Flinders on the Mornington Peninsula. And my dad and I went down and I picked a piece of art, which sounds very privileged, and I know it does sound privileged, and it is a beautiful piece that I have, and it's my first piece of art, and I still absolutely love it.
Oh, the thing I love with art though is there's often, there can be that sort of emotional attachment to it.
Yes, and my dad bought it for me, so
no, it's special.
That is really special.
Yeah,
no,
really
I love
special. A good art purchase. Next travel destination, actual or aspirational?
Okay, so my husband and I both turned 40 this year, and we haven't had a honeymoon because we were in COVID and we had I was pregnant when we got married and all sorts of things. But we were supposed to go on this beautiful holiday, just him and I, and we were thinking of going to Sumba in Indonesia.
Oh, beautiful, yeah.
Yeah. And then I blew it all up by saying I wanted to do a startup, and then that money now is in the startup. So we will not be going there. So there's nothing on the horizon.
Be a celebration holiday when it all gets going.
Yeah, maybe in a couple of years. It looks like a very untouched, beautiful place that's just not too far away. So I really like to go to Sumba, but like my ultimate would be to go on safari with my family.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
Yeah, that would be incredible.
And that's a long way away, but that's something that drives me.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. Favorite creative icon, living or legend?
I was thinking about this. There's a Belgian art collector and antiques dealer, and he's also a designer called Axel Vervoort.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Absolutely amazing. And I look at his work and it's just so simple, but then so considered and so organic and textured and moody and gorgeous. And I just have visions of just living in linen in one of his houses.
I know. Wouldn't that be the dream?
Yeah. Yes.
One day.
One day.
Final question. If your style was a celebrity, who would it be? Whether it's personal or design style.
Yeah. I really like Rosie Huntington-Whiteley.
Oh, yes,
even though she looks absolutely nothing like me. She's tall and slim and very, very beautiful. But she's just got this really classic, beautiful, tonal, natural way about her. Like when she goes, she dresses up and she goes bling, which is amazing. But like on the whole, she's, beautiful camel trench coats and tailored pants and things like that.
Stylish,
Yeah,
classic.
really stylish.
Yeah.
And then she also had Rose Uniacke, who's a London designer.
Yes.
She did her home in her and Jason.
Oh, right.
Jason,
Yes.
like I know them.
Yeah. I feel like it was an AD
It was
recently.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
They
And
always
it's
do that beautiful couple
beautiful.
portrait.
Yeah. I don't know. There's something really aesthetic and classic about her aesthetic that I just really love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, gorgeous.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time today, Katie.
you,
I've loved
Sarah.
speaking to you, and I'm very
Just
excited
gone
to
on so much about kids and
No, it's good. It's all the important things that
Yeah.
feed into our journey.
yeah.
So I'm very excited to see how the next couple of years play out for you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank